This video will make you $1 million. I can almost guarantee that it'll make you $1 million if you put it into action. When COVID hit, I had a student who heeded my advice very similar to this video. He had 25 doors at the time, and now he has almost 400. This works. Stick around to the end of the video. I'm gonna give you a step-by-step action plan that you can put in place to beat the recession and make $1 million. I'm doing some big stuff, but what I'm teaching you to do, I've already done, so I know it works. Let's jump in. Welcome back, YouTube world. It's so good to see you. I just got done speaking for 2 days straight, teaching a bunch of people how to do Airbnb, specifically how to pitch landlords and how to get free rent. And that's why Venus DeMilo's rocking out in the back with the guitar, because I wanted to have an interesting backdrop for the event. It went really well. It's about 11 hours of sales training. It was really cool. But that actually is part of the reason why I'm doing this video, and some stuff I've seen on the internet. The world is going crazy right now, isn't it? The world's going nuts. And so in this video, I wanted to give you an action plan. I wanted to help you make money during a recession. And I've done this before. This is actually, like I said, the Airbnb business that you know about, if you follow my content for Airbnb, is my fourth multi-million-dollar business. I've built businesses in many industries, in many different economic cycles, and I can tell you all about how to make money. And so I want to make you a millionaire because that's how much it costs to like and subscribe to this video. It's going to cost you $1 million, and I want you to make it. You probably should not share this video with your friends until you put this stuff into action. Give yourself a solid head start, because this works. But if everybody did it, you'd want to be the one with the head start, right? So let's go. We're going to cram a lot into the first half of this video because we have a surprise sponsor at the halfway mark. First, in order for you to execute the plan that I'm going to give you to make a ton of money, you kind of need to understand where we are. We are entering, arguably, into a recession. The textbook definition of a recession is not important to this conversation, but really relatively what it means compared to where we've been the last few years. And what a recession is a pullback. And it's a pullback in an aggressive way that will scare people and force them to make behaviors that they do not want to make. This is how fortunes are made in recessions. It's because people who've been doing dumb stuff before the recession are forced to sell things in large. I'm going to explain this to you. So the stock market has gone up as high as 36,000 points and change. And it's fallen back down to sub 30,000 points, if I'm following the news correctly. That's a pretty big pullback. Now, if you bought at 35,000 plus, or if you bought Bitcoin at 60,000 or Dogecoin at 65 cents, all these things, with that pullback, you have a lot less money than you used to. And the thing that makes recession so powerful for people like you who might have no debt, no leverage, maybe not a lot of cash on hand, but you don't owe the bank $1 million right now. The fact that you don't owe the bank $1 million is what's so special, because people who've been transacting business, getting mortgages to buy houses, taking securities-backed loans to do other stuff. And what a securities-backed loan is if I have $1 million in the bank, I can go to a bank and say, hey, I'd like a loan for, say, $700,000, take my $1 million of stock as collateral. That stock's going to keep going up, and I can play with $700,000. But when the stock market goes down and my $700,000 of cash is no longer covered by $1 million in stock, because I only have $700,000 in stock, they're going to force the sale of that stock. And if it gets bad enough, I might even owe the bank money because my security-backed loan wasn't properly covered by the stocks in my securities portfolio. Even more so, you can leverage stocks to buy more stocks. This is called margin, and a lot of people do this. So you're leveraging, say, your $1 million, you buy $1 million in Tesla, and then the bank's like, hey, you know what? You can buy $2 million more of Tesla because we think Tesla's safe enough. So you own $3 million in Tesla, owe the bank $2 million, and you have $1 million. That means that you have only 33% of equity in the $3 million portfolio you have. So now, if Tesla's $1,000 and goes down to $700, you've lost $300 per share, which is almost 30%. And now your $1 million of stock is now worth zero because you owe the bank all of it because of your margin. This is happening to people right now. This is stuff that's literally happening to people. So securities-backed loans, margin accounts, really funky creative finance for apartment complexes, which we're going to get into. All this stuff is starting to call on people. And this is forcing people to sell stuff that they do not want to sell. And this is where you're going to make $1 million. I did this during COVID myself too. So not only did my student who had 25 doors, who now has almost 400 doors in Mexico City, do this, but I also did this in a kind of unique way. There's a company called Stay Alfred that was too aggressive, raised a lot of money, and was kind of gluttonous with the way that they were spending money as a startup. And they weren't able to raise more money. They were trying to raise like $30 million and they couldn't make it happen, and they had to go out of business. So they fire sold off some furniture, and then they just didn't pay landlords for a lot of their leases. So what I'm about to teach you to do is very similar to this. I was able to go find 10 or 20 doors at a time where I got furniture for free because the company went out of business. I got to take that furniture. I went to the same landlord and said, hey, they're not paying you rent. I'll take over those leases. And boom. What I'm going to teach you to do works in more scenarios. You do not have to find a Stay Alfred to do this. I found a way to do this without needing one to go out of business. And so now for a word from our sponsor. This video is sponsored by Sean Space, the not new place to learn about short-term rentals. Hosted by Sean, YouTuber and Airbnb host of 7 years, who paid us so much money for this ad to let you know that he's the best in the world and he's gonna teach you for free. He's made a free how-to Airbnb course called the Airbnb MBA 2.0, and you should buy it right now because it's free. Welcome back. What a great commercial, right? What a great commercial. So here's what you're going to do with that same exact concept. There are going to be two parties at play here. There's going to be people getting rid of furniture, and there's going to be people who need their doors rented. Now, this same mechanism of COVID could happen on a smaller scale. What happens during a recession is companies lay people off, and it's happening all over the place. We're recruiting people from the Guild, a company called Doorsy, which is the second company about to fail, from the CEO of Stay Alfred, by the way. We're recruiting people from these other companies because we have a good cash position, we run a good smart business, and these people have been overspending and now they have to cut back on people. So during recession, they lay off people. Now these laid off people, if they don't find new jobs, they're not gonna be able to pay their rent, which means they're going to end up having to move out or something like that. Now this shuffle causes lower occupancy as people downsize and start to have roommates and move back in with their family and all these stuff. So these landlords who over the last few years have been buying some pretty pricey properties with some loans, well, their properties are going to be worth less now. And that's also why I'm not advising you to buy property right now, even if you have a lot of cash. I don't advise you to buy it because even though buying real estate is a pretty good idea, I think you'd be buying at the wrong time. I think maybe in a couple of years, buying property might be smarter. We'll talk about that later. But these people who've paid way too much for the properties lately need some tenants, and you're going to be able to save them there. Some of these persons might even have loans that require them to have a certain percentage of occupancy in their building, and it's not working out. And they really will need you. And that's one half of this deal, is saving someone like a landlord from certain disaster. Now, the other half of this deal are people that are getting rid of their furniture. Now, we're not gonna see a Stay Alfred go out of business necessarily because, Stay Alfred went out of business, and I think Lyric already went out of business. Sonder is a publicly traded company. They've got $400 million in cash, so they probably can just raise more money. So we're gonna see less companies fail. By the way, instead of telling you to invest into an S&P 500 or, just waste time something slow, if you wanted to buy a stock, you might just want to buy Sonder. It's SOND. It's a NASDAQ stock. I actually just bought. I'm gonna let you know that I actually bought like 80,000 shares of Sonder just now because it's worth like $1. And they have 400 million in cash, so they claim, but they're valued at like 200 million right now. I'm like, hey, this could be cool. They got their butts kicked. They opened at like $10, and then now they're down to $1 because they opened through an SPAC. And I just think they got like aggressively, like just shorted or something. So I think that they're oversold, which is a cool opportunity. Again, these are these kinds of positions where what you're looking for is for people who have sold something that they don't want to sell. Now, the shares that I'm buying for $1, they could be people who bought in at $4, $5, $6, $7 while this thing was on the way down. And now they're just begrudgingly selling their shares because they're cash broke. And this is the whole big point here, is the people selling furniture to you that I want you to find, they're also going to be cash broke. And I hope you keep up as I'm coming full circle on this. Sorry for being so scatterbrained, but you guys know I don't script any of my videos. So there are a ton of people who have gotten into Airbnb and they spent too much money on furniture. They didn't come in on budget. They leveraged a credit card to buy their furniture. They got in because somebody pitched them, hey, you should start an Airbnb business, and whoever they followed into the industry didn't teach them how to run this business. So they don't know anything about dynamic pricing. So their listings have been empty for the most part because of this summer slowdown, but they just haven't stayed competitive because they don't know what they're doing, unfortunately. Now, these people are going to sell their furniture. And when you find these people selling apartments worth of Airbnb furniture, you'll make them an offer. What you're going to do is you're going to offer them payments for sale by owner furniture. And I got mine for free because Stay Alfred just left them in apartments and abandoned landlords. You might find the same deal. You might find that tenants just abandoned a landlord with furniture in the place, and then you could pick up that furniture for free, most likely. But if they're selling their furniture and you find them online, which is going to be way more easy to find, make them an offer. I'll make you payments on this furniture, because you have a credit card to pay. But I will give you, say, $1,000 for your furniture now, or $2,000 for your furniture now, depending on how much it is. You could buy $7,000 to $10,000 in furniture for $1,000 to $2,000 down, and you could pay still maybe 50 or 60% of the actual value of the furniture while making payments over the life of your agreement, 6 months or something like that. So you don't have to put a ton of money down. You can pick up 20 apartments of furniture. You can stagger this out because this recession might last a while. So you could pick up 2, 5 apartments at a time over the course of the next year, coming out of pocket $4,000 to $10,000, and then making payments on this furniture over 6 months. Now, you're gonna make payments on this furniture with the Airbnb revenue that you're gonna make, because now you're gonna go to those landlords that need the tenants, right? Maybe even the same landlord that this person's selling furniture on and then leaving. You might go to the same landlord and say, hey, I know that you have tenants not paying rent. If they bail, I'll pick up multiple apartments from you and I'll start a new lease right away. I just need 2 or 3 months of rent for free, and I'll sign in a 2-year or a 3-year long lease and lock that in. You don't have to worry about tenant turnover anymore. Something simple like that could get you 2 months or 3 months of rent for free. Ta-da, nice and easy. Now, combining those two things, you're going to get furniture for super cheap, and you're going to get free rent, and you're going to then pay off the furniture with the free rent. You're going to snowball this. You can pick up 20, 25 doors super easy, and that 20 or 25 doors will make you $1 million. Now, I'm doing stuff like this. I'm doing it at a larger scale. What I'm telling you is going to work for you because of where I expect you to be. Some of you might be heavy hitter, millionaire types. Thanks for watching this video, but this video is for the little guy. Now, I think it's important that YouTubers like myself actually give you actionable stuff instead of telling you to invest in the S&P 500 and then brag to you about properties I'm building. So what if I'm syndicating a distressed multifamily deal? Right, where I'm getting, a group that kind of over-leveraged a property to unload, and I get to buy it for 75 cents on the dollar or something like that. If I do a 200-unit property that I syndicate, that's not something you can duplicate. So why am I going to flex on you? Right? And with that said, there should be more good people teaching in this space, and I'm happy to tell you that Haley is going to be teaching more now too, which is super exciting. Haley's speaking at an event, and if you don't know who Haley is, she's the girl that runs my 120 plus unit portfolio. She's the one that's been running it for the last couple of years. Like you saw in a previous video, I quit the Airbnb game in a way. I quit the business. I don't run that company anymore. She does. I stay out of her way. And if you want to hear from her mouth how to run a 100 plus door empire, now's your opportunity. She's going to be speaking at an event called STR Nation mid to late October this year. I'll leave a link in the description so you can find out what the exact date is. You can get a ticket if you want to see Haley talk. Haley runs a bigger Airbnb portfolio than any of the other YouTubers that you talk to or listen to, any of them. There's not a single person like STR University, Robuilt, Michael Elefante, B&B University, Cheetah, some of the other TikTokers like Choi or whatever his name is. There's a bunch of people in the space, Alexia Wright, all these people trying to tell you how to run an Airbnb business. But what's funny is the ones that can teach you are the ones busy doing it. And that's been Haley for the longest time. And I'm so happy that she's going to be speaking at an event because she's bigger than all of these persons. And you should listen to her before anybody else on how to run your Airbnb business, instead of somebody who's like 3 doors and flexes about their crypto accounts or something like that. And a funny story about the margin, I should probably tell you, I learned from experience how bad margin can be. Over the last couple of years, I've tried to invest in penny stocks and other stuff. And in the stock market, I've lost about $1.4 million in the stock market since 2 years ago because I did the same thing. I bought this company called OSMT, like 300,000 shares, 330,000 shares of OSMT, like over $3, like almost the $4 range. And I leveraged that, and that thing tanked down like $1.50. And of course I lost like $700,000 on a trade or something like that. And I've done dumb stuff even after that. I own nearly 50 million shares of something called DRFS, Dr. Foods. And I'm averaged in at like 1.7 cents. It's coming back, thank goodness. It almost hit a penny today, but it was low at like 1/3 of a cent. And I didn't leverage that one, but I still put, obviously 50 million shares of something at almost 2 cents is almost $1 million worth of stock. And that thing went down like by 90 something percent. So I'm hodling something and it's just really, really stupid of me, right? I'm not a professional investor. I'm a professional business owner. But what I can tell you is I've experienced the pain of having to sell stuff when I didn't want to sell stuff. Now, if I was cash poor, right? If I wasn't making so much money from all my businesses, my, losing all of this money on this DRFS stock, for example, I would have had to have sold it. If I wasn't making cash in all of my other businesses, I would become cash broke, most likely, with these investments, and I would have been forced to sell something like DRFS at 0.003 and, taken my less than $200,000 or whatever it would have been worth at the time and walk. But because thankfully I didn't run out of cash, I wasn't forced to sell. But that's the whole point of this video, is there are going to be people forced to sell things that they do not want to sell because that's how the recession hits people. There's going to be landlords that are afraid because people are moving out and people are non-renewing leases and their property values are going down and they're going to be afraid that a bank's going to come call on them and take their stuff. You're going to save the day. You're going to put yourself right in the middle. This is exactly how arbitrage is supposed to work. You're going to get a landlord to give you a good deal. You're going to get furniture people to give you a good deal. And then when the travel economy, even if it's like mediocre for any reason, you'll still make more money than you're paying in rent and for your furniture. And that's going to make you $1 million. So I hope this video is super helpful. I want you guys to succeed. That's the whole point. Thank you for watching. And as always, I'll see you on the other side.